NFM Radio.
Hello. Your mama told you not to play with fire. Fire will burn you. And you want to know. Welcome to the evening program, the evening show. Fire will burn you. Mansa Musa, I am ready to rock and roll. Are you? You don't have to play with fire. Fire will burn you. Fire will burn you. Fire will burn you. Right, so yes, you are listening to Mansa Musa. Today is the Wednesday evening. Beautiful day here in London. I hope everything you set your eyes on everything you set your mind on to do today, 5th of July 2023. I hope everything has gone nicely and smoothly for you. Over here, though, we are here to do some more talking. Tonight, I will be speaking to various people, both here in UK and in Ghana. So don't miss it at all. Don't even dare. You must be ever ready to listen to the sort of discussion we are going to have tonight. If you, whatever time you want to come in, you are ready to come in, I will let you. Okay, Osibisa, hold on for me because just as advertised, we are privileged. We're here in London and here in diaspora, overseas listeners, my fans, Mansa Musa show, and loyal listeners to NFM Radio. You can call us NFM or you can say it is New Face Media. And tonight, later on, we'll be speaking to the Queen Mother, Pognaba, from Upper East. We will speak about their up and coming festival that will happen here in London. So, like I said, don't go anywhere. Just stay here, and you hear about everything. They call it Dansika, Batakari, and Fugu Festival or exhibition. There'll be so much, apart from the dancing and singing and dancing and drumming and everything, which I really love because it keeps you in shape. It's exercise, form of exercise. The most thing I love is the what? The food. The food. I'll tell you about it. But now let's go to Accra and welcome Mr. Benjamin Boache. He is, I think, he's the chairman of ASEP. Let me allow him to introduce himself. Benjamin, good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
And welcome to the show. I hope today it's not raining, I hope, in Ghana, in Accra.
No, it's not. I haven't really checked, actually.
Well, I hope it wouldn't, because mostly when it rains, then it disrupts the signal. We can't get through properly. But whilst we have you here, let's go straight to the point.
The line is not very smooth. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think it's clear now.
Okay, maybe it was the position of the microphone or something. But
okay.
anytime you feel you cannot hear me, let me know. And I will either adjust it or shout or anything, because it's that important. Okay. Please tell us, what is it, ASEP? What is it, and who are you in ASEP?
My name is Ben Boache. I'm the Executive Director at the Africa Center for Energy Policy. We're a policy think tank based in Accra, looking at the extractive sector and the power sectors of Africa's economies.
Are you just interested in the energy sector, or since you are what we call a think tank, you dwell in everything and anything?
No, so we focus pretty much on the energy sector and a bit of fiscal governance, but energy sector is essentially where we work. Yeah.
So, in a general perspective, in general terms, what is the African energy sector? How does it look like since the 60s that we all had independence till date? What can you say has happened in terms of the energy production, or even having the energy at all? What is it? What is happening in Africa when it comes to energy?
No, it's a mixed trend. We have different countries at different levels of energy, either production or consumption. But on the average, if you look at countries that are, poorer in the continent, usually referred to as the sub-Saharan countries, electricity access, if I should simplify it, people with electricity are about half of the continent. So what that means is that we have about half of our population, over 600 million people, living without electricity or access to energy. The sad reality also is that you have the same continent producing oil and gas in many parts of the continent. But these resources are often shipped out to fuel other economies, and we don't use those resources to power economies and also provide electricity to our people. So that is, the reality on our continent, and that's why we keep fighting to ensure that these energies can be utilized to fuel economic development of the continent.
So, with your knowledge and experience in the energy sector in Africa, the output, the production, would you say that all being equal, there's nothing like, ideal gas or ideal situation, but all being equal, at least in theory, has Africa got the capacity, not the capacity, but the potential, or do we have enough to say become energy sufficient, apart from, let's say, cutting firewood and burning? Hello, Mr. Boachi, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes. So I was making the point that we have various sources of energy that should help us develop. We have oil and gas in many parts of Africa, Nigeria, Angola, Ghana, Senegal, Mozambique, Tanzania, South Africa, DRC, Equatorial Guinea, Algeria, Egypt, Libya. I mean, many of our countries are producing oil and gas. We produce, in fact, more than we need actually to develop. So we end up exporting most of the output. Beyond that, also, we have a lot of hydro resources. Ghana used a lot of hydro energy even until the 90s when we started, bringing in some thermal energy. Nigeria has so much gas. In most cases, they even flare them. So we have energy to actually accelerate our development, except that we haven't taken the steps to really integrate the energy into our economic development. And many people still remain without electricity, in our continent. And that's a sad reality.
I see. So, in effect, Africa as a continent, and let's say the sub-region of West Africa, at least in theory, should have been able to provide its citizens with enough power supply, still make profit, or at least break even, and even export some outside of that region. Is that so?
Absolutely. I mean, we should be able to meet the energy needs of our people by optimizing on the various sources that we do have for a supply of energy to our people. Unfortunately, we're not optimizing it. So we still have a significant chunk of our people living on wood fuel, chopping down trees, creating desertification in many parts of the region. When we could actually substitute that with cleaner, fuels or electricity to be able to save the environment and the rest of it. But we've done very poorly in trying to address these problems over the years. And that's how come we have about 600 million of our population without electricity.
I see. Right. let's come back to Ghana. I mean, let's stay in our country and talk about your report. I've gone through your recent energy report and recommendation and everything. And one would say this report could have been written, let's say, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and now. Surely this is not the first time you guys, in a respectful way, have presented Ghana with such a report or such recommendation, is it?
Absolutely. I mean, we keep rehashing the same issues, the same problems, hoping that one day there can be some grand action to actually address the problems that we have in the energy sector. I think what we tried to do with this current report was to look at a lot of the things that we keep saying and writing about, and then contextualize them within the current arrangement of approaching the IMF, seeking bailout, trying to ensure that the Ghanaian economy can rebound and provide jobs and sustainability for the economy. So we were trying to look at how the energy sector could be salvaged, because it is one of the pillars of the IMF program for us to resolve the lingering issues in the sector. I mean, we have a sector that keeps, taking so much from the budget. So on a yearly basis, we spend billions of dollars trying to prop some inefficiencies. I mean, electricity is business, and I'm sure in the UK where you are, I mean, nobody comes to the exchequer to say, give me electricity bill for the people. They sell it and collect the money, and then they pay, because the business people are interested in making profit. They're interested in ensuring that they are not making losses that they pass on, to the government. But in our case, we have government entities operating in the sector, and they have so mismanaged the sector to the extent that we could make billions of losses, and then the budget is sacrificed to pay for those inefficiencies. In the past 3 years, we have paid on the average 1.1 to 1.2 billion to the IPPs, and that's the independent power producers.
Yes.
We are also paying several millions of dollars to gas producers, because the gas is used to generate electricity, but nobody pays for it, because the electricity company is not able to recover the cost for the gas to be paid for. So you put that together, on the average, we are spending over 2 billion a year in that space. All right. But you compare that to how much we are spending on roads, agriculture, gender and social protection, health, and it pales into insignificance. Compare that to what we are actually wasting in the energy sector. In the last budget alone, the Ministry of Finance reported that at business as usual, or if we continue the way we are continuing, by 2026, that is 2023 to 2026, we will spend about 97 billion Ghana cedis, which is about $9 billion for under recoveries or inefficiencies in the energy sector alone. At the same time, if you compare that 97 billion to how much we are planning to spend on infrastructure, on in education, agriculture, health, social protection, and all the social sectors, we are looking at about 48 billion. So what that means is that if we stop the waste in the energy sector, we can do 3 times the investments that we are actually doing in the social sectors of the economy. So these are staggering numbers that we need to really look at to be able to save the Ghanaian economy, because it's so nonsensical for us to keep paying that much money, for power that people have consumed, or for poor political decisions that are bleeding the budget, and then we have to keep paying attention to those rather than the social economic development of the country.
So, like I said, I have read, I've gone through the report. I can't say I remember everything you've written there, but the conclusion of everything that you've said is that the electricity company or corporation of Ghana is actually providing or producing giving out a product or selling a product and making losses. In a simple term, layman's understanding, is it because the equipment, the technology itself is not efficient, it's not adequate, it's not enough? Is it because the people in charge are not clued up or they are not capable enough to manage a profitable organization? Or, as you said, it is a political interference or decision to make it very, how do I say it, to make that company unprofitable. What is it?
No, I think it's essentially politics, right? If you look at all those people who are managing the companies of government in the energy sector space, they are not poor people. They are all well-to-do. It's the country that gets poorer as a result of their actions. And that should tell you something, that these guys are not in to save the country from these inefficiencies. I mean, it dates back to 2014 when we recognized that the energy sector, has three problems. It has a problem to do with the efficiency of the infrastructure. It has managerial problems, and it had financial problems. So these problems were identified, and we had plans to resolve them to ensure that we can get competent hands, efficient hands to manage the assets, and also invest to improve the assets. And that was what brought in the PDS, if you remember, in 2019. But that also couldn't be sustained because of the same politics of people trying to hand the company to themselves rather than allowing a much more efficient system or company that can actually deliver value to the Ghanaian people. And we have continued to allow politicians and political appointees manage the company the way they want. And the inefficiencies keep deepening. What we saw, and I got us very alarmed, was that we have been battling with inefficiencies of about 50%. What that means is that in the past, ECG could only pay about 50% of the revenue requirement in the sector. So government had to pay the remaining 50% of the revenue requirement. But recently we saw that the revenue requirement had actually dwindled to about 11.2%. All right, so what that means is that we need to find about 88.6% plus to be able to keep the lights on. And you ask yourself, where are we going to get that money when we are already before the IMF seeking for bailout? Already we owe the IPPs $1.7 billion, and the debt keeps growing. We owe for gas almost $600 million. So you put the two together, we over 2.3 billion going to 2.4, and we keep piling the debt. All right, so it's becoming alarming how we are managing, or if you like, mismanaging the energy sector, piling on debt. Debt and sometimes borrowing to pay. And look at the kind of borrowings we do. You borrow for 30 years, 40-year tenor. So you're borrowing for 40 years to go and pay for somebody's electricity bill. And a child that is not born today would be born to come and pay the bills 40 years after.
NFM Radio.
I mean, how kind of behavior is that? For us to be borrowing to pay people's electricity bill, and then the future generations come. It's not because we are borrowing to build industries and build roads, build schools, build infrastructure that the next generation will come and benefit. Like the way Nkrumah did. Motorway has been there for over 50 years, and people are still using it. I was not born, but I'm benefiting from it. So even Nkrumah even borrowed to build a motorway. I came to meet it, and I've used it. So even if I have to pay for it, that is still beneficial. But to pay somebody's electricity bill today for my kids to come and pay for in 30, 40 years' time. That's a big disservice to future generations that we need to really resolve as soon as possible, not to sustain those kinds of inefficiencies going forward. So those were the things that we're trying to highlight in the report.
Right. So, it's staggering what you are saying, the figures you are mentioning, everything. But I'm trying to, cut it into pieces so that those of us mere mortals will understand. The laymen, we will understand, devoid of all the technical jargons in such matters. But, in politics or politically, you hear people say incompetence, mismanagement, incompetence, mismanagement. Let's take corruption aside. Let's take it out. If really the ECG is selling electricity and making a loss, and we've got the head, the overall head is the political figure, the political figurehead, what are they saying? That, look, we cannot go and borrow and pay for, I've seen the IMF report. It said cost-effective tariffs. The tariffs that are not effective, that means instead of the ECG at least breaking even, now the ECG is selling at a loss. What is the political figurehead actually demanding of the high management of this government corporation?
We don't know because nobody accounts to anybody, and that's the biggest problem. Accountability is so weak. We are not getting answers from the appointing authorities. What is the assessment of the inefficiencies that we are seeing? For which reason they keep recycling the same problems time and again? And it's usual, not just ECG. You look at all the SOEs. They create debt, nothing happens, and then business as usual. The public is called upon to pay for those inefficiencies. Let's
be clear with my listeners. What are SOEs? SOE, what is it?
State enterprises, state businesses.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
So those enterprises, they are all making losses. I mean, you look at government's own report in one single year, 2020, the exposure of Ghana government to SOEs was over 21 billion Ghana cedis, and we keep keeping them. We send political appointees there, they abuse it, make losses, and they leave it and go. Right, and the public has to pick up the bill and pay for it. So those are the problems, and nobody accounts to anybody. You can't ask appointing authorities why is ECG failing for them to even answer.
You see, when we started speaking, I said your report could have, if we dig into the archives, we may find some of these reports in the 80s, 90s, and the years after. You see, the reason why I made those references that in those times, these problems existed, but let's say in a smaller scale, relatively, in a smaller scale. Now, with the expansion of demography, or a lot of people coming in, people living longer, the population getting bigger, the same situation is unsustainable going forward. So my question is, you, for instance, okay, your organization has brought this up, but you are not alone in the intellectual scales or circles. I mean, if some media, how we say, the account media will discuss somebody's private life and the rest, what about you, the intellectual? I don't mean you personally, but as a group, as a society, why is everyone sitting down for this to happen? This isn't right.
Well, I think that is a hard work. I mean, for us to dig the numbers and be able to produce the data that we generate, it's a lot of hard work. We just need citizens to also appreciate that we are building a country, and therefore all of us need to pick up the advocacy and demand accountability. I mean, if 2 or 3 people keep demanding and nobody's talking, we can't achieve results. All of us have to make sure that we don't allow the national budget to subsidize for electricity. And most of the power thefts that we see, these are sometimes even foreign companies connected to the grid. They steal the power, and then nobody, in connivance with even people who are supposed to protect our interests, all right, they steal the power, and then they don't pay electricity, and then the poor people of Ghana are the ones paying the bill. If all of us watch and hope that 3 people doing analysis can change Ghana, it's not going to work. All of us have to identify the problems, look for data that has been churned out by all of us, and ask questions, ask for accountability. It's fine to be NDC, it's fine to be NPP, but where is the national interest? Where is our collective interest to ensure that we are not just ready to vote in an election, but in between the elections, we demand accountability from political leadership? I think those are the responsibilities of all the citizenry, for us to be alert and demand accountability, so that it's not as if when you are voted into power, the country is sold to you for 4 years, all right, for you to do anything, create any debt, and just leave it. But across the timelines, that's what we've been behaving. We allow politicians to abuse us, and then we wait for the elections to vote. But that will not solve our problem. 4 years is a lot of time for us to just fold arms and wait and not contribute to governance and push for the right things to be done. We need to support government by insisting that the right things are done. And that is what citizens are failing to do.
Right. So let's go back to the PDS, days and the PDS issue you mentioned, and that the idea was that, put it simply, government bad or public sector bad, private sector good. So I'm just simplifying it, but it is that the people managing the ECG, because they are working directly for the government, maybe they were not making or putting in the effort or doing applying the right managerial skills and the rest. So they had to bring in what we call private sector input to help. Now we all know what happened. After that, one would have thought that, especially all this, this scandal or this issue happened within the same regime, the same government, the same administration. One would have thought that some serious effort will be made to, correct, their abnormalities or the aberrations here and there. Why? I'm still asking. You see, maybe you are not the person to answer. Maybe Napo should make himself available. Well, I call him, he wouldn't pick anyway, because he knows he ain't going to talk politics and get away with it. But let me ask you, whilst you are here, and I thank you very much for your time, why is it that after the PDS, the problem still seems to be escalating? It's not reducing, and yet I still say no, but because there are people running the country. There are people who are supposed to be doing the checks and balances and everything. We have energy minister. What is going on, my friend? What is going on?
No, I think it comes back to, the accountability questions that I kept asking, that who accounts to who, and how do we get people to account for their stewardship. It's not really about private sector versus public sector. It's just that in our context, we want the public sector to do some work, but we fail to apply the principles that allow public institutions to work effectively. I mean, countries like China, Russia, and the rest of it, they have national oil companies and national businesses that are delivering value and making profit. Right? Why is it that in our context, once it's buying or it's government, then it means that it is loss making? We are not going to make profit out of it. We're just going to create debt and hunger. If you take cocoa and power alone, these two sectors are sinking Ghana. Go and sell power, you make a loss. Go and sell cocoa beans, and you make a loss. You are not the one producing it. You're only selling, and you're making a loss. So it's just the attitude that once it is government and it's political appointments, you are just there to do what you can, make money for yourself and be fine, and the government will take the care of the rest, and nobody is accountable to anybody. And these are the facts that we have to confront to ensure that we choose models and apply the principles that should, allow those models to work. What I've seen fail in Ghana is that government cannot regulate itself. So when you have PURC, you have Energy Commission that are regulators supposed to regulate the power sector. And you have ECG, you have GRIDCO, you have VRA that are also, government agencies. They can't regulate them because they are all appointed by the same person. So PURC boss calls ECG boss to order. It doesn't work because it's the same president who signed the letters.
That is what I don't understand, because here in this country, here in UK, the opposition, or let's say businesses, they sometimes tend to accuse government of over-regulation or regulating. You understand? Government do regulate a lot, even when the entities are in private hands. Because at the end of the day, the consumers who are the voters, who are the voters, will fall heavily on government if, they suffer consequences. Now, let me ask you.
That is because you have a regulator. That's because you have a regulator, which is government, regulating the private sector, which are owned by individuals. So it's easier for you to regulate them. But you have government regulating government, and all of them are at the same power play level, right? So it makes it difficult for these same people who are both appointed by the same president to be able to insist that the right things are done. But if it is government power regulating the private sector, it's easier for that to happen. And that is where we are failing, because we want to own the business and still want to regulate it. Why do you want to regulate the business? Radio. If we want to do the business, then we don't need regulators. All we need is to make sure that those businesses are complying by government structures and design, and then we leave it. But for you to set up a regulator, for the regulator to go and regulate government business, it has proven not to be efficient and is not working for us. And we keep doing the same things, and all of them are a cost to us, all right? Because we pay the regulator and we are paying the business people as well in the same space.
So now that, so to speak, we are not managing everything ourselves, as we as a country, now we have to take orders from somewhere. The IMF asking for cost-effective tariffs. What is the response from the government? I mean, from ECG and the government. What is it? This means more. Is it more? What do you call it? Tariff for paying for more electricity, more expenditure or cost for the fuel, whilst still the deficiencies and inefficiencies within the system still makes only few people suffer. What is going to happen? Have we answered? Okay, let me position. Have we answered, as the government answered to the IMF's directives that we should have cost-effective, cost-reflective tariffs? Has anything been said by the government?
No, I think government has been complying. So if you look at it, between September and last June, we had increased the tariff by 100%. So IMF is insisting that we increase the tariff. And the tariff is being increased. But we look at the revenue side, and instead of the revenues correspondingly increasing, it is rather reducing. And that's why we have a problem, that why are we giving you more tariff and the revenues are not increasing proportionally? So what that means is that either more people are stealing power or ECG is not accounting for the revenues. And that's why we said that we have to have a proper accounting for the revenues and let us know who is paying what and how much is actually coming in and what are the gaps, what is creating those kind of shortfalls even when we keep increasing the tariff. But we have also maintained that the tariff adjustments alone is not enough. There is a lot of inefficiencies in the system. The theft that is happening, people are stealing power. Nothing is being done to address that. The system inefficiencies, old equipment are not being replaced. They invest, but they don't generate the efficiency that is required. All these things have to be checked concurrently to ensure that we can build a power system that delivers value. And to be able to do that, you need a huge amount of money at the same time to fix these problems. And that's what we're recommending, that we go back to the private sector participation. Even if you don't want foreigners to come into the power sector, do an advert, call for Ghanaians, 20 Ghanaians, and say, everybody bring $20 million. Let's see cash, let's see your bank account. And then select those people on merit and hand over the business to them and say, we want you to deliver an efficient power sector distribution company and manage it. I'm sure if we did that, we can raise the money that we need to be able to do the many things that we have to do to retool the power sector, so the government is freed from the recurrent wastage and subventions that are coming from the budget.
So, Mr. Boakye, I'm still trying to get my head around what you are, all what you are saying. But the point here is, the other time when I heard you speak to Randy Abe on his show in the morning, I also heard Mr. The politician, Mr. Sam George, saying in his enclave, in his constituency, there is a factory that manufactures electricity meters, the consumer or domestic heat meters. The question is, why is it that the EC, this shouldn't have been a problem to sell, look for meters and sell them so that everyone will be metered, or people, at least the stealing will be minimized. I don't get it that the people at the helm of affairs, the managers, the senior management, the director, all those people at those ministry, the Ministry of Energy, it looks as if they are overwhelmed. They can't do the job and they are still at post. This does not happen in any serious settings or any serious society. Even though, let's say, Mercedes-Benz belongs to a private gentleman in Germany, because of the jobs that it provides, if it's being mismanaged, government comes in to look for what to do. So I don't why is the country not being run? Managed. There will be problems, but we got to manage them. Who is doing what?
At all times that I've been in Ghana, since I came back to Ghana, there's always been meter shortages. For the past 10 years, we have never been able to provide enough meters for customers, so that when you need meter, you can just walk to ECG, get somebody to come and install a meter for you. All right, and I struggle to appreciate that. And I keep saying that even if you want a customer to pay for the meter and recover that through the electricity bill, some customers would want to do that. All right, you just have to be transparent and price the meter right, so that I can come to ECG and say, ECG, you don't have money, let me pay the meter supplier, and then you come and install it and bill me and take the money, reimburse the money through electricity tariff. It's possible to do that. But you know what? They don't want to do that because they want to be in charge of the procurement. All right? They want to do the procurement and do it shady as possible so that people can milk the system. And this is what we are suffering from. And this is the reason why for the past 10 years, we've always had meter shortages. And we keep saying that, we don't have meters, we don't have meters, we don't have meters. And now we even want to do flat rates. We want to connect people on the flat rate to the grid. It's not just incompetent, but it's embarrassing for a country to be going through that kind of processes, and we are all laughing about it and thinking it's okay for ECG to say there are no meters, and everybody's okay with it.
I'm looking at your graphs, figure 1, projected energy sector payment shortfalls from 2023 to 2026. That graph alone fills me with with sorrow, honestly, because we are looking at something like there should be a graph projected, let's say, how do I say it, profits, but projected shortfalls. And if you look at the percentages, I mean the figures, you say a total of 97.62. What is that? Is that billion cedis?
So, as I indicated, billion cedis. So we have stated that we are going to, we are already spending billions every year. So in 2023, the Ministry of Finance projected that these are the likely shortfalls in the power sector, 23 billion, that Ghana government had to take and pay for electricity that has been generated and consumed by people, but we cannot recover the money. So if you add the 3 years together, that is $97 billion. If we don't do anything, we are unable to rescue and prevent the accumulation of the debt, we will be spending $97 billion by 2026. In fact, we said the same thing in 2019, that if we were not able to prevent that, we're going to pay about $12 billion by 2023. And we have already done those kind of things, right? So we plan, we know the problem, but everybody folds arms and they crystallizes or they come through. So I wouldn't be surprised if we keep paying to 2026 because not much is being done. Like we indicated in the report, we know the problem, we want to solve it, but it's getting worse. How is that? So what it means is that even the 23 billion that was projected, we are likely to spend more than that.
So in the end, your subtotal is provisional, and it's not going to come down, but it will go up.
It will go up. Oh, it's Jesus not mine. Christ. It's the Ministry of Finance calculations.
You see,
their own estimations.
In my previous job, that middle level management, a projection like this, well, it won't even reach this, but anything resembling this, believe me, shareholders will start. The top management, I think every Tuesday there will be meetings. How to negate this particular graph.
They call it crisis
management.
Crisis meetings.
So my question to this is, in fact, thank you for this your work. Your report, because inshallah one of these days, the other boy too will be in town, Mahama. When he comes, I'll corner him. And you see, that politics of everything, where we say, we have been able to, this administration, their communicators say a lot. We have been able to sustain the electricity, Yamamokania, all this time. So we are doing well. But if you look at these figures, Jesus Christ, we don't have to be that ignorant, do we, as a people?
Yeah. Exactly, we don't.
Jesus Christ! Sorry, I'm swearing here, but okay. So let's come back to reality. This report, I heard you discuss with Randiabe, doctor. Who else has appreciated this report? Who has received it? Government circles or which other department have seen this? And has there been any collaboration to this, or people are disputing it?
No, I think it's the only people who have disputed is maybe ECG, who says that they are trying to, not to really dispute the numbers, because the numbers are not our numbers, the numbers that we source from the system. But what they are trying to explain is that there are new efforts that we should have recognized being put in place. But our argument is that the new efforts are actually generating more deficit in the space. If you raise 7.6 billion in 2026, and the projections are that this year you'll be raising about 8 billion or so. Essentially, it's not a significant increase because we are giving 100%. So at business as usual, you should be doubling last year's collection, right? You should be doing about 14 billion if you have doubled the tariff for this year. So if the projection is such that you're going to do marginal increase, so it means that you are performing worse than the previous year. So we do the numbers to actually show what is wrong. with the system. But beyond that, I mean, the entire industry agrees with what we have said and put on paper. We have received calls from many corteses, including state agencies, VRA, ECG, the GridCo, the IPPs. Everybody in the value chain appreciate that this is the truth. This is the situation of the energy sector. Everybody knows it, including the IMF and the rest of it. So we just sought to put out the hard truth, and we're hoping that people would act and reverse the situation so that we don't have to pay these unnecessary bills going forward.
If you see any government at all, if it was that the government is borrowing so much to pay for subsidies for some, as a social intervention for the very poor in society or something, or maybe for the military, for police, that sort of thing. Even that, sometimes we have to, sit down and, assess it if it is viable or necessary. But where you are just borrowing because of inefficiency, recently someone sent me a clip. The whole of Kumasi, apparently, went dead. No light in the night. Now, what is it? I mean, what is happening? I thought we had enough energy, and with all this borrowing to fill in the fiscal gap, we had enough energy to go around. So with these, apart from maybe shutting things down for repairs, if these mini doom souls are happening, what do you think is causing this?
No, I think it's not just generators you need. You need transmission infrastructure. You need transformers. You need substations. All these things, they are machines. Sometimes, I mean, in advanced world, rarely would you see those because they keep refitting them, servicing them. So unless maybe there is a tragic event of maybe some uncontrolled wind, hurricane or something happening, you rarely will have such a major power trip. But in our context, sometimes the transformers are too old, so they trip. The substations can develop a fault. A plant in the middle belt could go off, and then the load jolts a bit. I mean, these are symptoms of a weak system, right? But even in the weak system, there are ways of managing it. So attitude matters. Sometimes a transformer will trip. It just needs a reset, right? So who is monitoring to ensure that as soon as it trips, it can come back on in the next few minutes, even not seconds? Can we automate it so that people can, restart them remotely? I mean, these are all management systems that you really need for such systems to work. Because in many parts of the world, the electricity may even trip, you may not know, because as soon as it trips, somebody can kick it back in.
Exactly what I was going to, catch, barge in to say that these excuses are, as we say, old school excuses. They are primitive excuses. This day and age, nobody sit down for electric motor or generator to trip, for someone to drive from his house to go and reset it or those things, But the technical issue, I mean, now, looking at what is going on, the politics of all this, do we have enough equipment, the machines, the technology, the heavy industrial stuff? Do we have enough? By your knowledge, do we have enough?
We have the systems. We just have to improve on them and also change some of them over time, because some are over age, some are inefficient, some are not even the right standards, because of procurement issues. So we have to change our ways, ensure that when you are procuring, you procure the most efficient, the most optimal infrastructure that can actually last, for a period, and also be controlled remotely, as we keep saying. Even if you can't do remote monitoring, your response time, if you call, the company ECG, that your meter has gone off. So sometimes we even talk about the whole country going off, but somebody's meter can go off. A person can sleep in darkness for 3 days, 1 week, and nobody's responding to him or her. You understand? So you need to have that quick response time that allows you to quickly respond. Because once electricity is on the grid and nobody consumes it, it becomes debt and cost because you can't store it. So those response times are really important for you to be efficient because you have thousands of meters, if not millions, and definitely some can go off, some can trip, some can develop fault. How do you respond quickly to ensure that consumers don't sleep in darkness in their homes? And also the transformers. If a transformer trips, that means the whole community has gone off. And you have to wait for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours before the transformer can be re-energized. And in particular when it is not a major fault, but because nobody cares, to respond quickly to address the problem.
So, to your knowledge, you see, I'm still considering the politics of everything. Are we, as a country, producing enough electricity, overproducing, or just producing enough, or we are underproducing electricity?
No, I think we have enough electricity. The problem is that you have to be able to transmit all and distribute it. There are people living in Accra who needs electricity. As we spoke about earlier, they don't have meters to even consume the power. So these are all problems that we have in the energy sector. You hear sometimes they are complaining that there is power and nobody is consuming it, so we have to pay for it. They call it excess capacity and the rest of the big terms. But people don't have power. They want meter to consume power, they can't get it. And we are complaining about excess capacity. So these are the problems.
I see. You see, I don't want to drag you into the partisanship of anything, but some of us, the lay people, I mean, look, I am of a technical engineering background, but, speaking on behalf of my listeners, when we are told that, at one point, we are being told that the previous administration over-edged and we have got too much production and we don't need, such too much production. Then at a certain point, we don't have enough for certain people. Then we know that, okay, there's some energy being left to go waste. What exactly is happening in the system? Because for you guys to bring all this report, you should know exactly what is happening in the system.
What is happening in the system is politics. I mean, there's no way to explain it. Even if there's excess capacity, the reason why we have leadership is for you to plan what you do with the excess capacity, not to fold your arms and tell everybody that there's excess capacity. Power has to be consumed. And like I indicated, if you have excess and people don't have electricity, what you do is to make sure that you have enough meters, people can always be on the grid, and then extend the access for people to consume the power. You can as well even bring up a big industry that can consume the power. I mean, a lot of industries like steel plants and the rest of it, it doesn't take too long to construct them. You can go in partnership with a private sector to be able to do that. We even have plants like VACO that we could have simply retrofitted, all right, to allow VACO to consume the power that we deemed excess of the capacity. But we don't sit down and fold our arms and complain and do politics with it. Who signed it and who brought it on. I mean, this is not shortage. Okay, you don't have shortage, we have excess, which means that you can take advantage to grow your economy. You can take advantage to deepen economic growth and productivity. And we are complaining about excess. And we have done that for how many years? Almost 6 years.
So I'm looking at your chart here. It's a projected capital investment in key social sectors from 2023 to 2026. I'm not going to bore anyone with the figures. If you look at health, education, roads, agriculture, what has this? I mean, why have you presented these figures? What are they to do in relation to the energy discussion?
Yeah, so we're highlighting, as I indicated earlier, I was highlighting how much we are spending in those sectors on infrastructure, right? So you have a budget that projects 3 years of expenditure, and you are projecting that you will spend on those sectors capital investment, the roads, the hospitals, the agricultural infrastructure that you have to develop. You are spending about 48 billion, but you are going to waste 97 billion for power that people have consumed. All right, so it tells you that we are not paying much attention to the development efforts, rather spending more on wastage. And that's what we are projecting to do. So we're doing that comparison for us to know that when you are looking and waiting for the road is not going to come because we are spending the money on energy sector under recovery, on power that people have stolen, on poor contracts that politicians are awarding, on power plants that are overpriced. So those are the things that are taking your budget, the money. And that's why you are not getting the road. That's why you're not getting the school. That's why the social protection is not happening in our spaces. So that was the comparison that we're doing.
I see. That makes sense. But let me ask you this. Okay, where are you? I've lost it, but I'll get it back. Your reports, in the end, I'm trying to scroll down, but I've lost it. In the end, what are you suggesting to government or to people in charge? I don't see any strong wording that look, not the politicians, but maybe technical men, the management, the senior management are not fit for purpose, and for that matter, government will have to make a decision or take a decision of, reconstituting a group of persons who are capable, not necessarily handing over to, commercial private entity. What have you suggested?
No, I think we have tried those models, thinking that when you change political head, some efficiency will happen. We have done that many, many times, and we have not gotten the results. So that's what we have recommended, that Ghanaians can do it. Let the Ghanaian business community understand that this is something that can pick up, invest in it, be regulated by the state, and make money and save the Ghana budget from the leakages. So that recommendation is in there for us to retool the sector. We agreed in 2014 to do that. We couldn't carry it through, but we need to revisit it and deliver on that. Otherwise, we'll do politics with it time and again, and it won't happen. Even if you were able to change one CEO and he does the good thing, you can't guarantee the next political appointee what he will do. And that's the problem we have had over the years. We're saying that the problem of lack of meters is unacceptable in 21st century for anybody to say that we cannot procure meters. And therefore, we need to put things in place to ensure that we can quickly bring in meters for people to have access to electricity and pay for it. So those are strong recommendations, if you like. We also need to check contracting and make them more transparent. The kind of contracting that we are doing, procuring efficient power plants, they don't work well, but we keep paying them. We cited AXA, which for the past 6 years has done about 16% of generation to the grid, but we have paid them their full money. All right, and somebody has also extended it for another 15 years. They're going to sit there idle, and we are still going to be paying them money. And these are the politics that really cost us so much money.
Yeah, because of time, let's rush this through. But we were made to understand that a certain arrangement or agreement called pay and collect, or what do you say? Take or pay. Yeah. Apparently, that wasn't efficient way of organizing it. And now we are being told that same arrangement is now even been expanded into many years, not in maybe 5 years, but some 10, 20. What actually, will direct anyone to do something which apparently isn't in the interest of the country? I don't get it.
It's politics if you don't want to call it corruption, right? Because we were saying that take or pay is wrong. The same people who said take or pay is wrong are now saying that if you reduce it to 40%, it's okay. So we are now reducing the conversation to percentages. But the problem really is that if you have power that you cannot utilize but you will pay for, it is wrong.
Yeah, right? But even that, it is it's deceitful, that explanation, because everyone who has done a higher purchase in this country, foolishly I did some in my youthful days, you buy a car, later you can't pay, then you go and renegotiate. So instead of 5 years, they gave you another 2 or maybe 3 or even another 4 years. So they will reduce the tariff or the rate for you. But you pay for a longer time. So at the end, instead of me paying about 7,000 doses, I ended up paying almost 12,000. So where do you say, oh, that was okay? That is deceit in itself. But let's put that aside. I hear the badge, that machines or that equipment, is it a Mary or something, is being taken away from, I think apparently it's sitting on the sea, and is being taken to Kumasi or to Ashanti region. Technically, is that viable? How workable will that be?
No, I think we have discussed that and told government that we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to do that because, you have problems in the energy sector. You are trying to resolve them. You don't add to it. They were going to spend about $71 million in 3 years to transport the plant to Kumasi to go and generate electricity in Kumasi. They're going to spend about $1.5 billion to send, pipelines to Kumasi to be able to. I mean, those things will be necessary at some point, but not when you're in crisis and you need to resolve these under recoveries and huge payments that you are doing to the power sector. You don't add more salt to injury by doing those kinds of contracting. But the politicians said they would do it, and they are doing it. So now even the pipeline is ready, but our Mary is rotting, in the West. And we're still going to have to spend more money because we have let it stranded for more than a year, sitting close to the sea, and the breeze is rusting the equipment. Some of the computers are already broken. The air conditioners are not working. So we are not going to have to spend more money to actually repair it. When the America could have been on the grid, we have already paid for it. But you see, they are negotiating for extensions that we don't need. And then the ones we have paid for, $510 million, is wasting away.
This, what we call it, so for all what we have discussed, without being on one side or the other, would you say it is maybe previous mismanagement? And is it still mismanagement by, the administration? I mean, people who are running the country.
No, it's been recurrent mismanagement. And that's the bottom line. I keep telling you that it's been going on for the past 10 years. All right. So we have. But
Mr. Boache, do you think that is due to the lack of know-how? Because I thought we have lots of people, not me holding master's degree or anything, but people with big knowledge in all these fields. So how come we cannot manage our stuff? Because now I'm looking at your statement. You said the IMF is it miracle or bullet something cure or something? Why will IMF have to advise us if all those advice or those directives are reasonably obvious? Why do we have to be directed? I don't get it.
That will be a conversation for another day. I mean, we've been going to IMF for the past 17 times, right, in the past, and we are likely to go again. So that's another conversation we have to go in, but it comes down to accountability, as I indicated. We have to hold people accountable. When we give you a job, you have to deliver it, get fired, or get prosecuted.
Yes, right? That's what it is. That is what is done everywhere. Everywhere on this planet.
And once you run a system where you know that you can abuse the system and get away with it, then they will keep abusing it. And that is what Ghana is suffering from.
So when do you expect to get any feedback or any response from your this great work you guys have done?
But general attitude of government these days is not to respond. It's because they don't even owe you any response, right? So you keep writing, keep telling the Ghanaian people, and then let's see. I mean, if the Ghanaian people want to take advantage of the information we have provided and clamor for responses from government, I mean, it's consistently been, treated some of our writings the same way, no response. They know that what we put out is the truth, but they won't even bother to respond to it. And the behavior and attitude keep going on. I think that is for the Ghanaian people to now look at what is good for all of us and begin to have a conversation on how we address these inefficiencies going forward. But the general attitude of the politician is that when they know they are wrong, they say give them 2 weeks, let them talk. And when they finish, we can keep on doing what we do.
NFM Radio.
And that's what has been happening.
Right. As it is now, the energy sector, we cannot, do away or live without energy. We can't go back to the Stone Age. So going forward, is your recommendation that, like I said, government or public bad, private sector good? What is it you recommend, finally?
No, I think for us to address this problem, we have to give the electricity business to private people to do it. And then the government resigns to regulating the private business to make sure that the public is not shortchanged. And that is the way to take government off. Because when they create the debt, the public has to pay. We have paid billions. How much we have paid for the inefficiencies could tar the whole country of roads, right? But we keep wasting the money in the energy sector where private sector can deliver, and then we monitor them to make sure that they are doing the right things. And we keep wasting the precious resources that we have on the energy sector. And mind you, we have also borrowed. We borrowed to pay this. So some of the debts that are hanging on the neck of future generations are all coming from this wastage that we are creating in the energy sector. We don't need to continue down that lane, and to be able to allow that government should resign itself to regulating and allow the private sector to do the business.
Finally, those vying to become leaders of tomorrow, you see, such practical issues should be asked for them to answer. It's all about, I think, in Ghana today, shamefully, who can dish out more money. Wherever the money is coming from, nobody cares to ask anyway. But I said to you previously, from the beginning, that I hear JDM will be in UK soon. And when he comes, some of these practical questions, I will make sure I'll ask him. Are you not surprised, but do you feel bad that some of these things are not discussed passionately, devoid of partisan politics, for people to come up with the proper answers, especially those in charge, the technical men at the very, very top, those who make the final decision before the politicians, so that at least Ghanaians will understand where the problem is coming from. If it is that the people in charge, the technical engineers and the rest are not good enough, we will know. Obviously, on the other hand, if it is that they are doing their best, doing everything, but the support from government or for politicians is lacking, then we must also know. Because to tell me that, government will have to borrow, not to pay subsidies, but rather to make for the shortfall because people are using the energy free, electricity free, because due to no fault of theirs, they don't have meters. I mean, this isn't right, my good learned fella. And hopefully, going forward, you think questions should be asked and answers be forced to be given.
No, I think, you see, that's why we do what we do. We try to put the data together and get people informed. I mean, as you indicated, JDM will come if he's coming to London. I may not have access to him. I may not meet him anywhere. But now you have the information. So when you have opportunity to meet him, then you put the relevant questions to him. And I think that's the collective effort that we're trying to generate. Once we put the information out there, we expect that journalists, people who may have more access than we do, would use that information to be able to hold people accountable and extract responses and policy options from these politicians. And that is the only way we can work together to ensure that Ghana doesn't stay so poorly managed as we see in the energy sector. So
I tell you, you may think I have the access, but believe me, that yes, Amasa followers who always direct them to go to where they will be worshipped and not to where they will be scrutinized. It's happening everywhere, but we will do our best. Me, Mansa Musa, I don't know, maybe you have not encountered me for long. When the thing isn't right, it's not right by me, and I'll make sure we talk about it. So that much I will assure you, and believe me, if I'm able to get hands on him that day, I'll let you hide in the corner there and listen to it, either Facebook or YouTube or just the radio link. But you will hear of it, and even if you have to chip in with your question, I'll allow you that. But for now, Mr. Benjamin Boakye, Executive Director of ACEP, that is Africa Center for Energy Policy, right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, I've got the acronym right now. So ACEP Executive Director, thank you very much. And I have to say, your work, the report you have submitted, you have provided, or you have generated is quite solid, quite informational. I mean, there's so much to read in there, so many. So I will go over it and make sure whenever I get whoever wants to be in charge or who is in charge today, we will try and ask the relevant question. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you also for the good work you're doing to inform your listeners.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Good evening. Bye.
NFM Radio.
You are listening to Mansa Musa Fire will burn you. That was the lively, very, very important discussion between myself and the Executive Director of ACEP, that is Africa Center for Energy Policy. Their Executive Director, Mr. Benjamin Boakye, has explained everything that you got to know. In fact, they have come up with a report on Ghana's energy and the figures that they are quoting, and why ECG is running at a loss. You see, if ECG was just a simple one person, like a person or a trader, his family will say that, look, let's take you to some spiritualists to pray or do something for, because we don't know why you are selling something that is so profitable and yet all the money is slipping away. You see, say ye nipa ba ko adwuma e be ka se ye fa ne ko bosum ho na enko malam ho ana ye enko so for ho nko bompa ye ma no. ECG needs prayers. Anyway, that is the joke of it. But seriously, Ghana for Jesus Christ.
NFM Radio. NFM Radio. Emudaho.
President Nanado, your friend Matheson, Sunyane Namiwo. Makotna awonum Holland. Ako Sam in Fifure. Sika kakra minya ye no. Me dia ba mia me maimu Ghana. Dia ba be to registered bank. Eye JN Bank yi. President Nanado Uber TV so be kachre Ghana for say. JN Bank anye na dwuma yi. Ti waje bank na licenses no. Wo the customers ni sika be mo. 3 years muni mensanka emisika. Sika kakra ka ye no so 550 million. Media kwa koto commercial bank. Na mede minse commercial bank de mede misika koto ho a e save. President Nanado enam IMF bosiana wo kwa ko boninti. Osimi misika 550 million na odi akwa ko ye adwuma nya interest wo so no. Once the koran onfa mame. Misika trene no so. Ose onfa mame. Just 2024. Na sika no interest ketewa no a menya no. Obema me mu 5%. Menya adwuma wo Ghana. Mintimi so enko Holland se me koye adwuma. Mimfi akọ animu kakra. Kwan ben so na mefa so a me ne meyire ne memba yibedidi. Mr. President. Mesero se me ma se me be street carefully ho. Mia misika makosam infifure enya no. Mesero se obema mensa aka. Obi bia obi tie saa me audio me recording yi bi no. Mesram se mo de beto mo platform so. Ebetimi afa so ma President Nanado nensaka we nyamasem yi bi etie. Ghana mpanyinfo mesram so se mo ne President Nanado be kasa ama me. Medamase.
Good morning, President Nanado Adankwa Akufo-Addo. I'm paying me bano boko. Midin the ASP retired Franklin Nati. Mesun Ghana ewo police mu 24 plus years. Na me gratuity me san kano milito bond 2 years. Aka 1 year this year, September.
Welcome to the Danshika Fugu Batakari Cultural Festival in London 2023. The Queen Mother of Bongo Traditional Paramancy, Upper East Region of Ghana. In collaboration with Ghana High Commissions UK, Ghana Society UK, and Ghana Union are officially inviting you for the Danshika Cultural Festival happening on 8th July at 5 p.m. Tickets only £15 per person and £25 for double tickets. This event is initiated to promote, empower, upskills, and financially support the youth in the vocational institutions of weaving, fashion, and design in Ghana. So come out in your numbers for a family day out, cultural celebration to support this great cause. There will be live performances, fashion shows, presentations of Ghana culture, and the chance to meet and greet kings and queens of Ghana and other dignitaries and royalties. Live at the Broadwater Farm Community Centre, North London, postcode N17 6HE. Looking forward to celebrating with you all in celebrations of our culture and our pride from Ghana. Proudly sponsored by Top Connect.
NDC Manchester UK. NDC UK Manchester. And also on the 15th of July. NDC Force on the 15th of July. NDC NDC Manchester. 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. St. Mary's of the Angels and St. Clair, Albor Street. Living show. Repacho M call a postcode near M19 3PY. NDC 4 rally. Greater Manchester for NDC Victory 24. Repacho 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday 15th of July 2023. Jumadia, you know, your top connecting us sponsor. And you know, me by 15 for numero 5 for Pepe. Me part of one M19 3PY. St. Mary's of the Angels and St. Clair, Albor Street, Living Shoe. NDC, Ayaza. Wamusi wamumrana sosafi, enji yamu no mushiamu. Greater Manchester for NDC 2023. Towards the 2024 election. So we NDC in Quadia. The part of Wanitira M19 3PY. NDC Fuanina. I'm so invite you, I'm colleagues MPP for. The Ghanaian population of Greater Manchester. You are invited to come to the NDC, really.
NFM Radio.
Right. NFM Radio. You are listening to Mansa Musa, and it's all about a fire which is going to burn everybody, including everybody. Where is my sound from here? I cannot hear myself. Okay, yeah, because I had closed it. Anyway, now, yenkona yenkodi enkomo. Train Pognaba, Queen Mother. Now, Yenen didn't come about the festival Basso on the 8th of July 2023. Is it Blackwater? No, I Blackwater. Blackwater. Omoye mercenaries for America. Where, dear farm. Your friend say Broadwater Farm. Broadwater Farm Community Center. Wana just say here kwakodi afisha pano. The but before then, no, Mr. Owusu Achaye, your friend say NDC deputy communicator UK communication officer deputy what yensa kan wa homa so oso won komo bi ho pese oni edi kakranti enkona Mr. Achaye, good evening.
Good evening.
Na bibi aboko de I see. Yeah, tia won kan wa ha che.
UK election Ghana so by election you are not but the friend as boy say Obama party because forgotten country. So one thing in can say I
see. Otambo no bo ama kai story bia a class teacher and all class 2 or class 3 for English. This is Kofi or say this is no more so this is Kofi. This is Adwe or say this. A golan say na Adwe no dey say ye twi or say munka the American no an kolana so this is Adwe. Now, this is Kofi is Otambo Nebo Adwe. And the one time never you know anyway, that's it. So Uzabeka and you now your friend is saying more more elections, you know, they say you know, and come up your question saying Bibi Fufro be or bet me any I dream.
Some of that some say last year na Osanke yatuyaba na oye vetting committee ni a committee set yeneze ye meeting no say
sorry
feedback yeah
sorry feedback ampa me ye fia
ti the buy ni say vetting committee when it comes to register, it's quite some compile register here, you know. Make them so. Because the election now, when you're ready, and some will go through all the kind of register, and one will do some qualify, eligible people, no more, also unqualify. See, only Mansa Musa. For no, for Nico, 2023, start. I don't know what to say. July more Mansa Musa. So many and Sony Wumi. A fifth. This UK airline chaplain to me to Yaba. Mansa Musa. So when I also a time become must be a say Areho. Because Koya national elections, Timianko, Koi Flabera, Essential election Koya NDC, Timianko. For the first time, a day, yeah, necessary. On two so bar, I'm one executive for the chapter no, Intiminko, got to happen to Kawi just observant. Yeah, Pim so I bet me, and to do some election once a month. By and now say, the chapter executive because I say, yeah, no, I refit not born in a city revenue, say, Bobo Nibi. Now say, pretty frank, because no, yeah, my entry committee in take over. I'm going to try election. So, the interim committee will take over, you know. I'm a contribution provisional results for Basso Kai Bogos register. Nina Ba, till most of you. And then after provisional register and buy and coffee, you must show more. Some bills will election. And a petition, Mansa Musa. Petition for petitions. Crack, neck, ready neck, or maybe so, Cosi I see. Say, Mansa Musa. No, Casaya, last week. Chapter time was a bank, the can somewhere. That day, I team real hope, Mansa Musa. Musamia, meet me, I can't one. So, this is what is happening. As you know, I have no idea when the selection coming up. The next month, because you say we buy election in Sibia, next month, maybe Kobia. No idea.
I see. Ain't you know, Kofi Jina Mami? Kofi, me the oma me producer. Wouldn't be producer, Kasa. Also, Pajo Koso. Right. Ain't you now can be say, mo chairman, Ebeki can be just say, the mo chairman come on in the deal, the come and one in your ring. So, no, on also simple for petitions.
Chairman come on now on the beginning and yet the end, you know. A bitter. So where's so you?
Was it here? Been kai be
myopic. You see the word myopic.
I see.
Competitors no more competent for challenging. As well ensure respect our mom. We see from the start to the end. Line of connect no what's our friend back. Mazam Sadade me real hope. First so start me and this no chroma. How can chapter chairman speak like this? A member of this chapter, the executive member, what we have gone through, the executive member in this chapter, the executive meeting, I won't say your board meeting, like I say your board, say a bank economy, your board, no more than the highest making body. Some say your co-meeting, yeah, can be. I make a man some make some way. Switch on. And no, so they are listening. They make a be on Pambari Bata. Co-meeting chapter chairman or my young can be men and make a man some. To critic, I can tell you, say, Alas and Baba and the Kufar administration, there's no difference. As I'm saying, what tell me so with you, Kasakana with one and a Kasapa. I'm coming, let me learn. Sign of the year chapter meeting. Yes. And I've been going on, but almost say, better be seeking mandate to be chapter, and San to Abama. Do you know why?
What is it?
In the last election, the last chapter election, I'm talking about or more contest for chairmanship position. The former chairman and the former vice, judgment, and the frequency, and Alas and Baba. For my check, frequency 38 votes. Judgment 55 votes. Alas and Baba 74 votes. And we intervene also on a stronghold. Once they went to me more one single, there were 12 branches. Once Alas and Baba to me and count one single branch and any stronghold. You know why? And to me and can't say we branch when I'm strong. Me met me I do not feel to say. I'm a corner that me campaign man Mr. Tannet, the stronghold. You could have 3 branches. Me think Nippon 93. Landing, Mansa Musa, Manka Kranam, Samakona Ukutaba, 48. Effort. Coastal land, on beat him. Northland, on beat him. And nothing provisional reason by ya. Drive my better if you say bogus.
Ain't it? Yeah, can't hear Cobain. Brony Becker said all the issues now, the Awoka said, Dr. Joao Jumabeka's Bogos the other day. Which of these issues have been resolved? You are resolved, BB.
Anything I can say after the provisional register, no? And near me, of course, behind the scenes, no, into my true petitions, no. Last and Baba, me make my country, last and Baba say, no achievement. Once I said, yes, we can you. On what kind of videos was say will be more branches me boanga. So can me boa. So will be more branches. Which is Telford me boa under him. And then East London under him me boa. Busani say, but also Busani petition was on the one can me can playing say a last and Baba show petition association. And I can say Telford branch, East London branch in
I don't understand. Yenchemu saying, are you? Come on, hang on. We'll say the same Mbamba who was, taking credit for the creation of these branches, we'll say the same Mbamba has written a petition to your executives in Accra for those branches to be annulled. I mean, removed, cancelled.
From the voters register,
and what was his reasons?
Because of the provisional register, but
I don't understand because Mimi Fool say your fans says an dream crown say it has been bloated. So because the investigation, but so because they should stop all of them from voting, this petition say enye state secret because say idea abadwemu enka minya proof anka mepe.
Mansa Musa me ba ofili no me cancel me tran true.
Debi me kasa wudi atro debi. Don't be like this because sabi enye how do I say it, even on official level no me obi kan say enye dia efe ye nyesa, but the American say I am very doubtful. Say maybe in the wedding, maybe there are other reasons, and I want to read it for myself. But say, coming, fine. But I have one say, me say, Obayana minidin komono. He was priding himself, say, through him, and all those branches has come to be. So if that is the case, why then will he write to Accra for those branches to be removed?
Because provisional register ban you must say no so belusu because second term.
And that is your view.
No, madam, na me view.
That is how we say the yamwasheno said the yamwasheno there obi any obe prove sir. Nti no wo wadwen mu no wo fu say osuro nti na oh yes sir.
I don't know about I'm talking me based on provisional register and see as for what has happened behind the scenes. My main repeat beam say as I'm Baba of videos was say No, and then no administration. No, you be more branches. Go for the journey. The branches now can tell for the car. Eastland in Kahon. Eastland in Telford, no. The same last and Barbana of an achievement, what your petition say? Yeah, no, Eastland and Telford and free voter register. Yeah, no, come on, petition, Wasaka say, young 53 and free meeting King's branch register. Yes, Chuma. For them to be Eastland and to me. Nipa 53 free. I think it's branch next of Wawene. And since I only last and Baba Casa an interview over 1 hour, when to me and just say the 12 branches, when him is stronghold, when to me and check, but me to my kind of I say, Maconan Okuta 12 stronghold, and sorry, Okuta 3 stronghold. I think it's Telford and Eastland. What is happening in this chapter? What I say? Maybe say my Bible say no. They're happy on this chapter. When member out, make my campaign to Allah to Maba, make could be born in Croft my campaign to him because one of them say, "Mud depart niya." The past 4 years.
Now, a member just say, "Wa boy Juma, just say mistakes need ya babet." Wa boy Juma come on.
Mansa Musa, Juma dear, oh, party now, we leader now here, Juma. Oh, you want to bet say, and found one and found uncle. Mansa Musa. John Domani Mahama. Juma power in 2000 for by president 2012, and the vice from 2009 2012 by a president. So when you know we are a car truth at all, so you're gonna phone us about on Samra. I didn't hear. So I knew my pa, me boy. Ya koto aba say be presidential can when you say over 90% and 93% and 95%.
Yeah.
That shows you know and the best say no. But don't try to rig this election. I mean something being count. Him say North London branch, Alasan Baba trust of reggae extra foreigners and then me not make a can say hang on. This is a serious allegation, so we'll say North London, Alasa Mbamba, Epesenka, Oblotu, a register no. Maybe the point. Now, maybe the point. Epesenka Oblotu North London branch. Then the former North London Charlie debut to Santi, will say, and say, the committee, one penny, register no. Can you register no? People na be to see me and commodity could be West London branch. Be a better few months like talk about. And I let the track crash and you cannot open new branch. And proud by election. No, we'll suspend it. I'm suspended here. Listen to this. From North London to East West London, the same group of people now last and Baba no copy. Reading. Now listen to this. So we a party chairman. That's what being introduced to our way.
I don't understand. Hey, sorry, chairman. He has to inquire. Say, we'll be introduced.
So being introduced some patrol out here, man.
There be said to me, but what your question is there, I have to answer it to the best of my knowledge. Who be some say Obi introduced ya if I or no your chairman. In this Obi introduced dues he has every right to find out why the dues are not coming in.
Someone say your client first Mr. Uncle say I had an amount to you say your branches me boy, your branches were me boy.
Yes.
So I didn't have branches and then you said you man, but the chairman and then crop for could you have bulk money in Reading branch.
No. Now you are telling me a different thing. Well, first question is there. Send me the 2 years. Or every right to inquire why people are not paying. But say as to he going to pay in bulk, no, if that action, no, contrary to your rules are and what the minimum has in the account.
You say as a chairman, no, from North London, West London to Reading branch, the distance, the postcode, The same people no move from Northland and copy Westland and Yama, some other copy branch. And then Mansa Musa idea about where and say the former Reading branch chairman in front of Otafija. On no man's money as I do. Then Nipa 72, they pay bulk money to Reading branch. For me a members of Reading branch. Nipa 72. Then Reading branch executives, they have no knowledge about what is going on almost there. They meeting. And they RID, Mansa Musa, I saw make a meeting maybe. And they RID, when they meeting. Now, Reading branch executive, almost secretary by. No, it was a question say. I just need past 72 on my summit moving from Reading branch to secretariat say these are the people who are eligible to vote. How many being also they will need more? Last about ba Busano, that's what making some boy. Mamma so any more. Past 72. The Mamma so can say qualified to vote on me about 6 or 7 people. Ampano, who shall provisional register among them so. Past 7 qualified to vote, eligible. And he went from signing past. That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry about that. Technology, and sometimes you can anyway, yeah, try and come on it.
These are the issues I can want them say.
What do you say? What is going to happen is the friend is saying, yes, catch up for the next 5 minutes. Now, say, what is a two about London?
I'm Nancy Quazo, member studio.
And you say, oh, bad, yeah. No, they can say. Okay, thank you. What we are going to do is say, you fancy her, also, you fancy her. Now, Yabia Duma, Uba London, not yet in community.
Sometimes about my last word I make and say, chapter members, about on kind of create actually, but the future of this chapter is in your own hands. The future of the NDC UK and Ireland chapter, members and Mutimi, it is in your own hands. The chapter be here if you come before Atwaba. The chapter here if you come before Atwaba. But maybe the Mansa Musa, me pesenka the leadership from young Cleomo. Rescue this chapter. So chapter time about so when in next year, Uncle Chia bulk money or Reading branch for Nipa 72. Or again election, you know, also Chamaba out to make come and some many time say I shouldn't come out. No, me Mansa Musa because of NDC. I nearly died in time because of time, and yet I ran no first round to quite a train so too. Make us in passion say. So we the chapter no a dream and I am here. We the NDC dream and I am here. Me as executive member, I say no. This are. Alas, I'm Baba in the group. On my chapter, we move it. Chapter into my penfra. Then rescue this chapter now to say the Mansa Musa at the end is the UK and Ireland chapter. We are in sinking ship. So when you now rescue this chapter and then Baba administration. Actually, on the Tomobo, Amami. Thank you.
tomenim, neni tomenim, ohumi anane buofu. Osimi trinyenti, fise, aware mi aje, nansu waya, wenye sikada undi. Seni nyami abuwa mani nsake kakra. Wasimenko, fise, ebi anedi eni nsaka impo, michi bonindi, nasa finensa. We are seeing of Wajima. We are seeing Mundo of Wajama, you know, Jimia Kukume. Enough one, Damia. Enough was my rewa, Jimia Kukume.
Tony Pound, say Uncle Kumwa, and French Umu. Mafache. Obidopia, Tampuya. Ekotapu kwa kadapunte mwase. Adapunte se ya tampu sukwaju. Inti se muchi mi aya abuwa miwati.
Ya
countio. Now go yate. Odo come me kumio. Sekina, Sekina, yeah. Jam Sekina, Sekina. Sekina, Sekina, Sekina. Sekina, Sekina. I really care. We are care. Let's see this show. The pro needs to get you woman or crack you woman. A yammer to the facade, the first by a monk. The bomb by the say, a bed trust to see you with them. Let's show, and my come to a Yaku. Me don't get to sense and Makoda, Quentia, and hair on Yami Pegu, as supported dog, a very jarring aquafipo, Pepe Dewo, and yet Penawo Doya Son Copa was about to go and made the wood of Dom Garret, Menapre, Woody, Metuba, second Kamokasa, Mitibutsa, Bago Pro, Menaya Nemesa. I'm a one who say me a from crew, me jet to go one as a Pasama Warrior, oh no, hypocrite, Yago Former Barry, or you did the air, and no Yaman Mudada. I must say, me and Daniel or practice to what you, but this second time get to say, I can't wait the song for reach to me, the Sam Shepherd.
Like a kind, what she won't